Deep in the Vermont woods, where the old trees whisper and the shadows feel alive, there's this place they call the Bennington Triangle. It's a beautiful spot, sure, but it's also wrapped up in stories, real spooky ones, you know? Back on November 12th, 1945, there was this guy, Middle Rivers. Real experienced tracker, knew the woods like the back of his hand. Well, he took a group of 4 out hunting that day. They're trekking through the thick of it, and all of a sudden, Middle starts slowing down like he's in a daze. The others, they're looking at him, puzzled, 'cause Middle, he's usually sharp on it. But this time, he's just gone. They get back to camp, and Middle, nowhere to be seen. They freak out, start searching, but it's like he vanished into thin air. They had search parties, locals, cops, even dogs, but nothing. Zip. Middle disappearing. That was the first real weird thing in the Bennington Triangle. Locals, they knew the old stories, the creepy ones, and they started whispering. Something was out there, something nobody could explain. Then, a year later, December 1st, 1946, this 18-year-old college kid, Paula Weldon, same thing. Paula loved hiking, went out for a little trek that day. She was wearing this bright red jacket, easy to spot, right? Last time anyone saw her, she was passing this older couple on the trail. Then poof, gone. Search parties, even bigger than the one for Middle, tore through the woods. Nothing. Paula and Middle, just gone. Those disappearances, they turned the Bennington Triangle into something else. The locals, already spooked, they started calling it cursed, like there was some kind of force in those woods, just taking people. After that, Bennington Triangle got real famous, real bad famous. Reporters, paranormal investigators, they all came sniffing around trying to figure it out. But nobody could. The mystery? Still, hanging in the air. The weirdness didn't stop with Middle and Paula, not by a long shot. Couple years later, 1949, you got James E. Tedford. Now James, he was an Army vet, living in the Bennington Soldiers' Home. He'd gone to visit some relatives, and he was heading back on the bus. This bus, it's rolling along, full of folks, including some other guys from the Soldiers' Home. James, he's sitting there, normal as can be, got his stuff with him. Everyone sees him, right up until the last stop before Bennington. Then, just like that, he's gone, vanished. His wallet, his belongings, still on the seat. But James, poof. They tore that bus apart, searched the roads, the woods, everything, nothing. People started throwing out theories, you know. Maybe he was tired of life, wanted to start over. But it didn't add up. He left all his cash, and how do you just disappear from a moving bus? And then, just to keep things real creepy, there was Frida Langer. October 1950. Frida and her cousin, they're out hiking, and Frida slips, falls into a little stream, gets soaked. It's getting chilly, so she tells her cousin she's gonna run back to camp, change clothes, be right back. Her cousin waits, and waits, and waits. Frida never shows. He heads back to camp. Nobody's seen her. They start searching, and you guessed it, nothing. Cops, search parties, helicopters, the whole shebang. Still, Frida, gone. And here's the kicker. Just like Paula, Frida was wearing red. A red sweater. Now you start wondering, is there something about that color? Is that some kind of twisted clue? 6 months later, they find Frida's body. But get this, it's in an area they already searched, real thorough. And the body? It's too decomposed to figure out how she even died. It's like she vanished, then just reappeared, dead, in a place they'd already checked. These stories, they started piling up, each one weirder than the last. Bennington Triangle, it wasn't just a place anymore. It was a mystery, a dark spot on the map, a place where people just disappeared, and nobody knew why. So you got these disappearances, right? Middle Rivers, Paula Weldon, James Tedford, Frida Langer. Each one a puzzle, no pieces fitting together. And the locals, they're getting real jumpy. They start seeing things, hearing things. You know, the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. They talk about strange lights in the woods, like will-o'-the-wisps, but colder, sharper. They say they hear whispers on the wind, names being called out, but nobody's there. Some folks swear they've seen shadows moving between the trees, shadows that ain't human. And then there's the stories about the creatures. Bigfoot sightings. They're nothing new in this part of the country, but in Bennington, they take on a whole new meaning. People talk about something else, something darker, more predatory. They say it moves silent, quick, and it leaves no tracks. The investigators, the ones who came looking for answers, they start picking up on this vibe too. It ain't just the disappearances, it's the feeling. The air feels heavy, like something's watching you. Compass needles spin, cameras glitch out, and even the toughest guys get the creeps. One paranormal investigator, this guy named Rick, he sets up camp deep in the triangle. He's got all his gear, EMF readers, thermal cameras, the works. He's trying to debunk the myths, find some logical explanation. But after a few nights, even he starts to doubt himself. He tells stories about sounds he can explain, like something big moving just outside the circle of his flashlight. He finds strange symbols carved into trees, symbols that ain't natural. And one night, he catches something on his thermal camera, a shape moving in the darkness, something tall, something that shouldn't be there. He shows the footage to the locals, and they just shake their heads. They say it's the Watcher, an old legend, a spirit of the woods, something that takes what it wants and leaves no trace. Rick leaves Bennington, shaken. He doesn't write off the whole thing, but he admits some things just can't be explained. He says the Bennington Triangle ain't just a place, it's a feeling, a darkness that seeps into your bones. And that feeling, it starts to spread. The disappearances stop for a while, but the fear, the unease, it hangs in the air, thick and heavy. People start avoiding the woods, staying close to home, locking their doors at night. They know deep down, something's still out there, waiting. Years go by, but the Bennington Triangle, it doesn't let go. It's like a scar on the land, a dark story, whispered from generation to generation. The disappearances, they're still talked about, the names etched into the town's memory. Then, in 2018, something stirs again. A young couple, Sarah and Mark, they're city folks, looking for an adventure, you know. They've heard the stories, but they're thinking it's all just campfire tales. They decide to hike the long trail, right through the heart of the triangle. They start off confident, maps and gear, ready for the wilderness. But the woods, they're different than they expected. The silence is heavy, the shadows long, and the air, it's got that same creepy vibe the old-timers talked about. They find strange things along the trail, old, rusted equipment, like someone just dropped it and walked away. They see odd symbols carved into rocks, not just graffiti, something older, more deliberate. And at night, they hear sounds, rustling, footsteps, but they never see anything. One afternoon, they stumble upon an abandoned cabin, deep in the woods. It's old, weathered, but still standing. They decide to spend the night, figuring it's better than sleeping on the ground. Inside, the cabin's even creepier. Dust-covered furniture, old photos, like someone left in a hurry. They find a journal filled with strange entries, rambling about shadows and whispers, and a feeling of being watched. Sarah starts getting spooked, but Mark, he's still playing it cool. Then they hear it, a scratching at the door, soft, persistent. They look at each other, eyes wide, and Mark grabs his flashlight. He opens the door and nothing, just the dark woods, the wind whispering through the trees. But then they see it, a pair of eyes glowing in the darkness just beyond the edge of the light. They slam the door shut, hearts pounding, and the scratching starts again, louder, more frantic. They spend the night huddled together, listening to the sounds, the feeling of something outside, watching them. In the morning, the scratching's gone. They find strange marks on the cabin door, deep gouges like something big, something powerful, tried to get in. They hike out of there fast, never looking back. They get to town, shaken, pale, and they tell their story. The locals, they just nod, like they've heard it all before. Sarah and Mark, they leave Vermont, changed. They don't talk about it much, but they know deep down the story is real. The Bennington Triangle, it's not just a place, it's a darkness, a mystery that still lurks, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul. The story of Sarah and Mark, it spreads like wildfire. It confirms what everyone already knew, deep down. The Bennington Triangle, it ain't just a collection of old tales, it's a living, breathing mystery. And it ain't going away. The town, it changes. They put up signs at the trailheads, warnings about the dangers, not just of the wilderness, but of something else, something unseen. The locals, they start to organize patrols, watch groups, trying to keep an eye on the woods. But the woods, they got a way of swallowing things up. No matter how many eyes you got, how many lights you shine, the darkness, it always finds a way. One night, a local patrol, they see something. A flicker of movement, deep in the trees, something tall, something fast. They give chase, flashlights cutting through the darkness, but it's like chasing a ghost. They follow the trail, deeper and deeper, until they reach a clearing, and there, in the center, they see it. A shape, shifting in the shadows, something that ain't human. They raise their rifles, but something stops them. A feeling, a coldness, a sense of dread that seeps into their bones. They lower their weapons, and the shape, it fades into the darkness, leaving them standing there, shaken and silent. They return to town, and they don't talk about what they saw. They know deep down some things are best left undisturbed. The Bennington Triangle, it remains a mystery, a dark spot on the map, a place where the veil between worlds seems thin. People still disappear now and then, and the stories, they continue to grow. Some folks say it's the land itself, an ancient power, something that was here long before humans and will be here long after. Others say it's a portal, a gateway to another dimension, a place where the rules of reality don't apply. But whatever it is, one thing's for sure. The Bennington Triangle, it ain't just a story. It's a reminder that some places are best left alone, that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, and that sometimes the shadows, they ain't just shadows. There's something else, something waiting, something watching. And in the deep dark heart of Vermont, in the Bennington Triangle, they're always watching,